Hello and thank you for watching Call the Red. We're going live to give our reaction on the latest news and goings on at Manchester United. Before going any further, if you're watching, please do me a big favour. You can hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. That would help me out massively with trying to get the channel to grow and hopefully get taken notice of by the YouTube algorithms that can help get more eyes on the channel. So thank you for that. Right, so what are we talking about today? So as the title of the video suggests, there's two main topics. One is the release of the Manchester United financials for the quarter, which have just come out the other day. And there's also the news that came out yesterday that Cristiano Ronaldo is being charged by the FA for something that happened in April. He's been charged now. So let's get into both of them. So we'll hit the financials first because I mean, for those who haven't seen it already, I'll sort of break down the headlines for you and run through why, as a United fan, it's just more nonsense. It's more PR spin. It's just more of a reason to want the Glazers to be out of my club, out of our club. If you're a United fan. We cannot carry on in this way. So let me run through. I've got the headlines here. We'll run through it, and then obviously we'll react to it as we go. So, so United made a loss of over £2 million a week in the 2021-2022 season. That's despite revenues rising by 18%. So even with the fans back in the stadium, so they can't blame COVID anymore. For most of last season we had a full stadium. We actually lost over £2 million per week. That's an astronomical figure. That is just insane. How can any business operate on that basis sustainably long term? It's not possible. Add to that the £1 billion that needs to be invested into the infrastructure in terms of the ground needs a load of work doing to it. The training ground needs updating massively. You're looking at least £1 billion of investment into the infrastructure. These owners don't have £1 billion to invest. They're not rich owners. They are, if anything, they're rich on paper. They own assets. They're not cash rich, and they never put anything into the club. They take out. So how are we going to rectify this? How are we going to get back to being profitable and still be able to invest in the infrastructure of the club to allow us to be successful long term? That is a concern. That is a real concern right there, that we're being mismanaged. Unsurprisingly, point number two, our wage bill is the highest in the Premier League. Now, I don't think anybody's going to be shocked by that news. I'm certainly not. When you look at, Harry Maguire, £200,000, until Mo Salah signed his new contract, Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial, perhaps even Jesse Lingard were being paid more a week than Mo Salah. And I think we can all agree there's a clear sort of difference in the quality of the players there. So we've got this bloated, underperforming squad being paid more than anybody else, and and we're not getting the rewards from that investment. So the total wages apparently were 384 million or thereabouts last year. Now some teams have yet to announce their figures, but it's hard to imagine anyone is actually paying more than Manchester United on wages, and that's a 19% rise on the previous year, which just shows that we're spending money left, right, and centre. And I know some of that people say, oh, Ronaldo and players like Varane would have come in on big money, but it's not the Varanes or the Ronaldos are the issue, in my opinion. That last season especially, that Varane, when he played, was our best defender. Ronaldo scored 18 league goals in the worst United team for 30 years. It's the Maguires, it's the Martials, the players like that who weren't playing, or who were playing badly, for want of a better word, who are the part of the issue there. But again, that just goes back to the mismanagement of the club. We saw Maguire from Leicester. He was on probably about 50 grand a week tops at Leicester, and we've gone straight into almost 200 grand a week. Could we not have negotiated that better? Could we not have gone in at 100, 120? I'm sure he'd have still took, it was a one-horse race at that point. I'm sure he'd have took the deal. I digress, because, I'll just get wound up. We've paid almost £25 million to sack our managers. Between Solskjaer and Rangnick, because although Rangnick was brought in on an interim basis to be a manager, we were meant to have him on a consultancy basis, or whatever it was meant to be, for 2 years after that. So we've actually paid almost, between the two of them, almost £25 million. I'm going to assume that takes into account the backroom staff and whatever as well, who would have left with them. But yeah, £25 million to sack just get rid of two managers last season. That's yeah. I mean, that's money that could have been invested into the squad had we been managed better. Keep in mind that figure's probably so high because we give Ollie a new contract. Was it like 3 or 4 months before we sacked him? Who did that? Who gave him the new contract? It weren't us, the fans, was it? That was the Glazers. That was as it was at the time. Ed Woodward and John Murtough and Richard Arnold were still at the club. They knew they were at the club. Arnold was Woodward's right-hand man, and Murtough, although his director of football title's new, has been at the club for years as well. So let's not buy into this. Oh, it's a new start. It's not. More the same. We'll carry on because I just want to sort of highlight that how absurd that figure is. The net debt of the club rose by £94.5 million. Now, obviously, when you're making a loss, your debts are going to go up because that's just logic, isn't it? £94.5 million our debt's gone up by in that 1 year. We now have over £500 million of debt against the club. This is a club that prior to the Glazer takeover had hundreds of millions of pounds in the bank, and now almost the same amount in debt under their stewardship, under their ownership. The only people making money out of the Glazers' ownership of Manchester United is the Glazer family. That and the people they're massively overpaying underneath them. But ultimately, the Glazers, they can give themselves dividends, directors' fees, whatever. They're milking the club. We've gone from cash rich to £500 million in debt. People looked at Barcelona this summer and last summer and mocked Barcelona for, oh, you're £1 billion in debt. How'd you get to? We could well be going there in a few years' time if we carry on this way. I know that sounds, a bit hyperbole, but that is how I'm genuinely worried that the club may be going in that direction if we don't take action to change things soon. And part of that, I think it needs to be new owners, new ownership of the club, for a different direction from the top down. That's my take. The club are blaming it on exchange rates and whatever, but of course they are. Of course they're going to blame. They're not going to take any responsibility, are they? So yeah, like I say, that's something we need to keep an eye on clearly in terms of, going forward, how much we're getting into debt and whether that debt is still serviceable, especially if we're making losses week in, week out. Just a quick note there, since the Glazers brought the club in 2005, Manchester United made an overall pre-tax loss of £320 million, but paid out dividends totalling £132 million. You will not find another Premier League club in that time who have paid anywhere near that sum of dividends. You will not find a single one. Most clubs don't pay dividends at all, and if they do on a very rare occasion, it's on a much lower scale. Manchester United are the only club whose owners take dividends out on a regular basis, ongoing basis, to that extent. The only one. You tell me what that is. You tell me what the new owners of Chelsea, when they brought the club from Roman Abramovich, I know it's a forced sale and whatever, but you tell me why there was an anti-Glazer clause in that contract, in their when they purchase the club, to say that they can't sell the club and they can't take dividends out for so many years. Because everyone knows it's a bad idea. Everyone knows that if you want a football club to be successful on the pitch as well as profitable off the pitch, you can't just be milking it dry. Someone please call America and tell the Glazers, because they don't understand. Todd Bowley, whatever his name is at Chelsea, you must know them. You must know. You must have some dealings with them. Give them a call, please. Tell them how to do it. Because at the minute, everyone's laughing at the Chelsea guy about his, North versus South, All Stars team, whatever. But honestly, is that any worse than what the Glazers are doing to United? I don't think so. And keeping on topic of the Glazers, record dividend payments. We've got a net loss. The debt has rose by almost 25%. But It's good news because the Glazers have took £33.6 million out of the club in dividends. That's how can you reward yourselves for failure on that sort of magnitude? That is absolutely mind-blowing. If I did that bad at my job, if I did that bad running a company that I owned, we'd be going bust. I wouldn't get to give myself 33 million as a, well, hey, look at me, I'm doing well. That's astounding. No, you can't do that. And that's good. And that's what I've just been saying. We're the only club who pays out these dividends, and it's not even because we're successful. If we were winning everything in sight and we were, making so much money, I don't think anyone would mind too much. But we're not. We're finishing 6th on the back of the worst Premier League season ever, and now we've got owners who think they could take £33.6 million out of the club just as a nice little treat for themselves. No, put that money, invest it into the training ground, invest it into the stadium, invest it into the playing squad. All of those areas of our club need investment. They're all areas of concern that need ongoing investment. Massive investment in some cases, like for the ground and the training ground, and parts of the squad as well. Boy, as you can probably tell, this does wind me up. Anyway, that's the sort of, to me, that's the 5 bullet points, that's the highlights. However, there's one particular quote that I want to go to, which is a quote from our director of football, John Murtough. Now, is as a director of football, I'm sure, as a fan of, if you're watching this as a fan of another club, or even if you're a United fan, we look at other clubs. We look at, your Arsenal, you look at City, look at Liverpool. Their director of football is somebody who answers to the CEO or the owners, and who helps with the recruitment. They fight the manager's case to try and get the best players in to improve the playing squad. Not so at United, not so. So at United, we don't have a director of football, apparently. Apparently United, DOF, means director of finance. Also means director of fucking delusion, because this is exactly what John Murtough has said. This is a quote. Overall, we are ahead of schedule in our recruitment plans as envisaged at the start of the summer. I can't even say it without laughing. And we do not anticipate the same level of activity in future windows. As always, our planning focuses on the summer window. End quote. That's a quote from John Murtough, Manchester United's director of football. Now, I like the players we've brought in this summer. I like Malacia. I love Martinez, what I've seen of him so far. I'm sure when Casemiro gets into the squad, I've always thought he's a top-class CDM. Sure, he'll be a great signing. Loving Christian Eriksen. Anthony, what we've seen of him so far looks good. I like the players, but they're good signings, but they're bad deals. Even the Eriksen one, it was a free deal, but it took us a month to complete a free deal for a player who's out of contract. So he couldn't go on the pre-season tour. So just on that alone, it was a bad deal. And that doesn't mean I don't want the players. I do want the players. But we need to operate in a better, more efficient manner. Certainly to me, the last 2 signings out of Anthony and Casemiro, 160 million pounds worth of players there in the last, week or so, week and a half, whatever, the transfer window. That was panic buy. Because the rumours were going around at the time that Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the Britain's richest man, wants to buy Manchester United, and the Glazers panicked. The pressure was being ramped up. Protests were gathering momentum. Glazer out movement was gathering momentum. The Glazers panicked and threw money that we perhaps didn't account for, or perhaps even didn't have. Looking at our figures for last year, they've panicked and thrown money at the situation just to try and keep control and try and sort of calm the protests. And I'll say I love the signings. I do. I love the players, but the deals. It was not a good transfer window. How can we be ahead of schedule as envisaged at the start of the summer? At the start of the summer, we wanted Timber. Did we get him? No. Frankie de Jong. Last time I checked, he's still at Barcelona. And Darwin Núñez, who's playing when he's not headbutting people for Liverpool. So we're ahead of schedule how? Who did we sign those key targets that we were after at the start of the window, and in De Jong's case, pretty much the whole of the window, who have we signed that we can say we're ahead of schedule? It's mental. You cannot say that. You absolutely cannot say that. As a director of football, you look at our squad from last year, look at how we performed last year. Yes, I know Ten Hag is a great coach, and we can all see the improvement he's made in certain players. McTominay, Dalot, for example, we're seeing improvements in them compared to last season. But surely this summer is step one of the rebuild. We had to reset and rebuild. Step one, that was step one. We now need step two, step three. Surely, we need to be looking in January. Look, I think it's just come out recently that Liverpool, they weren't necessarily going to sign Luis Diaz in the January transfer window. They were going to wait till the summer. But because of interest from other teams, they wanted to sort of swoop in and get the deal done there and then. So they did. They were, some might say, okay, it was reactive to what happened, but they were constantly alert and monitoring situations, and they made a move. United, I don't even think we do that. I think we just sit back and watch it. I mean, we were linked with players in January, January just gone, and even when those players were linked to other clubs, we just sat back and went, we'll do everything in the summer. And we've just had the most hectic, frantic, biggest mess of a transfer window I can recall, and that's saying something because we specialise in that. We specialise in hectic, chaotic transfer windows at Manchester United, and this was the worst of the lot. This was the worst of the lot, not necessarily in terms of the signings we made, but in terms of how hectic, chaotic, frantic it all was. And then they panicked at the end and splashed £160 million on two top players because they were worried about the protests because someone else might be trying to buy the club. And now we've got the director of football saying we're ahead of our plans and we're not anticipating the same level of activity in future windows, and we're focusing on the summer window. Heads up, everyone, United aren't going to sign anyone in January, and when we do sign someone next summer, it's probably going to be a couple of fringe players because, the Glazers think, that's it now, we're done and dusted, we've got our total winning squad. What planet is this guy on? That's not a director of football. What is he even talking about? He sounded like a director of finance. It sounded like someone saying, we spend a lot of money, we have to be careful going forward. And you know what, based on the financial results, maybe that is the case. But as a director of football, that's not his place to say that, surely. We've got Richard Arnold, who's the CEO. Let him talk about the finances. John Murtough, your job as director of football is to back the manager and get the best possible players to make the strongest possible squad to give the manager the best chance of achieving success. That's your job. That is your job, John Murtough. If you cannot do your job, quit. If you can't do your job, you should be sacked. But we know that's not going to happen, so quit. Do the fans a favour, do the club a favour, and quit. I'm asking you, John Murtough, remove yourself from Manchester United. You cannot do the role of director of football. You're a Glazer puppet. We know that. You've proven that's the case. Just go. Just go. We need someone who can back our manager, who can actually get a transfer deal over the line. We saw the pictures of you in Barcelona on the Jolly Boys, you and Richard Arnold on the little Jolly Boys outing in Barcelona. You come back with nothing. You come back with nothing for Barcelona. What do you go to Barcelona for then? Nothing. We ain't got Frankie de Jong. We ain't signed anyone for Barcelona. So what was you doing out there in the middle of the transfer window? Why'd you spend your whole summer chasing a player who made it so clear he doesn't want to come to our club? Why? Makes no sense. And it's not like it was a sudden thing where we chased him for 2-3 months and then he went, actually, I want to stay, guys. Sorry for wasting your time. Frankie de Jong said on day one, as soon as he was linked to United, he went, I want to stay here. I'm not taking a pay cut. I'm not leaving. I'm staying here on my current contract. That's what he said from day one. Why did we waste the whole summer chasing a player who we knew we couldn't get? I mean, there's sort of people out there putting that little sort of conspiracy theory out there. It was just a bit of a show from United, from the Glazers, to go, well, we tried to sign a big superstar, but he didn't want to come, but we tried. So they won't have to spend any money. And then obviously when, the Jim Ratcliffe story came out that he wanted to buy the club and the protests started to grow in volume and in size, they panicked and threw the money to go and get a player. Maybe that's the case, who knows? But it just doesn't add up, does it? There's so much that doesn't add up. Anyway, we've talked about the financials. John Murtough, you're a disgrace. Get out of the club. I mean, we could go on. I could go on about it all day. Anyway, Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously that's the other thing in the title, and that's the other thing we're going to discuss. So Cristiano Ronaldo, I'm sure we all remember in April this year, after the game against Everton, it was after the game, he was walking up the tunnel and some fan shoved a phone in his face. And rightly or wrongly, Ronaldo sort of knocked it away and knocked the phone out. It turned out to be a young lad's hand, and the phone got broken. Now, he apologised for it. The police got involved, and they've given him a caution for it. So he's been reprimanded. He's asked. He came out. He's apologised. I believe he offered to buy the kid a new phone and offered to tickets to be his personal guest for a match and all that sort. So Ronaldo's done his bit. He's apologised. The police have got involved. They've warned him, given him an official caution. So you think he's done and dusted. We hadn't heard about it for a couple of months. Now the English FA have come out now right at the end of September, almost in October. And so they're going to charge Cristiano Ronaldo with his actions that day, and there's going to be a hearing, and then they'll assess any punishment that they need to hand out, whether it's a warning, a suspension, a fine, etc. Why now? Why are we now talking about an incident that happened in April? Why now, when we've got Rashford and Martial both out injured, with the Man City game approaching? Ronaldo's potentially our only fit, senior striker for that match. Why are we now talking about Ronaldo being punished, being charged by the FA? It doesn't add up. It does not add up. Why now? Why? I mean, let's face it. They're going to give him some sort of punishment. They have to make an example of him because it's Manchester United and it's Cristiano Ronaldo. There has to be a punishment. There has to be an example made. They cannot be seen to let him get away because he sends. If this was a Watford player, we wouldn't hear anything about it. It would have been done and dusted before the season was even over. Last season, because it's Ronaldo, they've bided their time. They've waited till an opportune moment when even a one-match suspension could potentially hurt United, and now and now they've dragged it back up, brought it back into the public sort of space. I don't understand why. Are the FA really that inept, that slow, that it takes them that long? April to October, that's 6 months. It takes 6 months for the FA to organise a hearing. Is that for a player at one of the biggest clubs, arguably the most well-known player in the world at the moment? Does it really take 6 months for that? Come on. It doesn't. I know it doesn't. I'm sure, we've all seen incidents happen before and the FA have had a hearing within a week. But for Cristiano Ronaldo, it takes 6 months. That, to me, I think that it always screams some sort of political or sort of movement, backstage, behind the scenes. I'm sure we'll never know the true story, but I just can't help it if there's something more to this. Obviously, we'll have to see how that plays out, whether Ronaldo even accepts or acknowledges the charge, whether he sends anyone to represent him or he turns up himself. We'll see. But essentially, the hearing's going to happen anyway, and the FA will decide what they want to do. Who knows? I think they will go for at least a one-match ban just to try and make an example out of him, which, given the summer that Ronaldo's had and the start of the season is not been the greatest by his standards, it's about the worst possible timing for Cristiano Ronaldo for this to happen. But, the English FA, showing that as inept as ever, if they've done it, even if they waited till the police, I'm sure it was about a month and a half, 2 months ago now that the police closed their side of things, so why wait till now? If you went for the police to, be done with their side of it first, okay, come out and say that. But, you can do that 2 or 3 days after the police have give their final verdict and said, yeah, we're cautioning him, end of the matter. You can do that then. But now they're waiting. It just doesn't. There's so many things that don't add up. Anyway, thank you if you've watched this far. We've gone on for about 25 minutes, so thank you if you have watched this far. I really do appreciate it. I mentioned at the start, but if you can hit the like and the subscribe buttons, that does mean a lot. It makes a huge difference to me, so thank you for that. Leave your thoughts in the comments. I will always reply to comments, whether I agree with you or disagree with you. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the financials, about the Glazers, about John Murtough, and about the FA, because I just can't get my head around that one. It's really bizarre. It just, like I say, it just doesn't add up. Anyway, that's my thoughts on where we're up to at the moment. I'll be honest, I didn't watch the England game last night. I saw bits of it, but the bits I saw didn't really excite me, and England and the game of Southgate don't excite me, if I'm being honest. So that's just something that I don't know. I'll probably catch up on it at some point. I'm not really going to give an in-depth reaction to the match because I didn't watch it. But all I'll say on that one is we've been relegated from the top tier of Nations League, playing dull, boring football. Ole Gunnar Southgate strokes again, and Harry Maguire, who did play for England last night, has yet another relegation on his CV. Well done, that man. Well done. I think that's his 5th relegation now in his career. I'll let you count how many trophies he's won. I'll give you a clue. It's less than the relegations. Anyway, that is all. I'm Cole the Red. Thanks for watching. Take care. We'll talk soon.